Hi guys, welcome to another very special episode of TFL Now. This is live and I've got a very special co-host today. This is MotoMan.
Tommy, thanks for having me.
Good to see you.
I like it. So I am special. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Oh, you're very special. MotoMan runs an extremely successful YouTube channel. What's your channel?
Channel is MotoManTV, all one word. MotoManTV, all one word.
Check them out right now. But today we're doing a super fun video. Top 5 surprising models that are better than their performance siblings. Now these are cars that may be more affordable, that may be lower in horsepower, but are more fun.
I would argue some of these I don't agree with you.
Well,
we are going to have to debate this, my friend.
This is going to be a very heated episode, guys, today.
Oh, I can guarantee that. You have a New Yorker in Colorado here, so we're definitely going to debate this.
Well, let's get started right away at number 5. And this is a manufacturer that we don't work very closely with, but they still produce some exciting cars. That's the Subaru WRX and the Subaru WRX STI. Now, I'm going to wager that the WRX is in fact better than the higher performance STI.
Why'd you have to go Subaru? Is it because we're in Boulder?
We're in Boulder.
Okay, do we tell them now that we just went out to lunch and we both learned that Boulder has this city tax on soda now? And now it's like $5 to buy a can of soda here.
I know, but we've got snow.
And that's why you have Subarus.
And we've got all-wheel drive. That means fun in the snow. That means drifting. And in the case of the WRX, you only get the 2-liter, but it's a new 2-liter developed right around 270 horsepower, which is less than the 305 that you get in the WRX STI.
I think I agree with you on this one, because I think the WRX is a better balanced vehicle. I think for that kind of money, what else are you going to get that you could get for the WRX?
Right.
That's where it comes down. The STI, it gets it too close to other cars. What is an STI? What's the retail on that now?
You know, it's high.
It's like 3840.
Yeah, I've got the number right here. So a WRX starts at just under 27. The STI, 36.
Okay, so $36,000. That opens us up to a Golf R, not as peaky, not as powerful,
right,
but a far more balanced vehicle. Then 36 grand. Let's say you put the sunroof, and I think there's a premium package. No, you don't get a sunroof on that one, but you can do a premium pack. You're up close to 40. At that point, you're talking all-wheel drive BMWs. A more mature car, but something you could take your girlfriend out.
Yeah, so the Limited starts at just under 41. So that's a lot of money. And yeah, for just under 41. Keep in mind, keep in mind too that 2.5 is essentially a carryover of a previous generation engine. So that's
$41,000 for a Subaru.
And
really?
It's older technology in that 2.5.
No, okay, in this case, definitely WRX.
Well, I'm glad we agree. And I think we're going to agree on number 4 too. That's the Challenger with the 392, the 485 horsepower when compared to the Hellcat.
So this is near and dear to my heart.
Okay.
So those of you that have seen my show, I have had a long-standing relationship with this specific car. I've driven both the one you guys have as well as the 475, 45 horsepower car. And I would argue that as much as your car is cool, it's too much power for the chassis. And a Challenger has never been a car that's going to keep up with a Camaro or a Mustang around corners. It's a car you don't drive, it's a car you wear. So you don't need 700 horsepower. Yes, I want to go and brag to my friends I got 700 horsepower, but you can't use it. A CTSV will slay a Hellcat all day long around a track, even though it has less horsepower. Where the Challenger with a Scat Pack is so much better balanced, it's the exact right amount of power. It's the Goldilocks of the Challenger world.
Well, I think you're right, because you've got the V6, the Pentastar, and that's a little bit underwhelming.
You can put that in the bin. I'll pass on that.
And then the 5.7 is a fun engine, but it just doesn't have that performance you're expecting out of a Challenger.
Yeah.
So if you step up to the 392 Scat Pack, you're looking at just under 39 grand. Excuse me, the Challenger RT Plus Shaker. That's just under 40 grand. You can get them a little bit cheaper because...
I'm going to throw you off on the numbers on this. All Chrysler products that are not Jeeps, meaning very in-demand Jeeps or Alfa Romeos, they are consistently 20% off, 20%.
Wow.
Even these performance models. So think, what'd you say, 39 grand?
Yep, 39 grand.
Math, you're talking 31, 32. You cannot get anything close to that with that kind of power.
And of course...
Sorry, can you turn up George just a little?
Oh, yeah, of course I can turn up George just a little. He's...
Turn up who?
Turn up the sound just a little. Okay, good. Thank you, guys.
Okay.
And keep your questions coming, guys, as always.
Yeah. And there are many different versions of that 6.4-liter Hemi across the Challenger lineup, because you know the one that's just under 39 is the RT Scat Pack, but there are also the SRT models if you want some more perhaps handling. And the Hellcat's fun, don't get me wrong.
I'm not saying am not saying at all it's a bad car.
Right.
For me, I feel they should have went the Porsche route on that car and said, we're going to make 3,000 and made them collector's cars. But instead, they make as many as they'll sell, and they won't keep the value over time. They'll never keep pace with inflation.
Well, that's what the Demon's here for. Just over 3,000 cars.
But see that, and that's what they should have done with the Hellcat.
With the Hellcat?
I think they should have done that with the Hellcat, this, and then maybe some special editions of even the 392. Because there's how many special editions do they have? They got the Shaker, they've got the Scat Pack, they've got there's a couple of tape stripe ones that they showed at Chicago Auto Show.
There's the Track Attack models too, the TAs.
Yeah. Now I don't know if you're aware of this, Tommy, but I have a personal history with that car.
Oh, you do?
So much so, like, I mean, this is a car that there are a few cars I would write a check for. This is one of them. And here's why. I competed in Targa, Newfoundland with this exact car. Now, it wasn't called a Scat Pack then. It was just called the 392. It was the IE, the initial edition that they had of that 392 engine. And I went 5 days driving around full bore on Newfoundland, Canada. It was one of the most incredible experiences I have ever done in my life. And originally I thought that was too big of a car for that, or really the wrong tool for the job. She was great, to the point where me, another Challenger, and a Viper driven by Ralph Gilles, chief designer of FCA, we took the championship that year for the manufacturers.
Wow.
So we all had what we thought were the wrong, I wouldn't say Ralph thought it was the wrong tool for the job. Me and Paccioni, the other driver, thought they were the wrong tools for the job. And we were doing better than some other cars that were more successful in that amazing series. And you can see that I did a whole series, a mini-series on driving Targa, Newfoundland.
Well, you know, speaking about the current Challenger, you go back to 08, 09, right? And back when they had the 6.1 liter Hemi, that was developing like 426 horsepower. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. And that car we thought was way overpowered. We were like, this is a lot of power in a Challenger. And then they kept going up and up. And now 707 with the Hellcat, 840 with the Demon. I mean, where does it end?
I don't think it really ends. I think it's the kind of thing where it is an old platform. They don't have anything to replace it, so what they're doing is they're coming out with these special editions to keep the factory going. Now granted, this is great for car guys. This is like the goal. You know, they say they don't make them like they used to. Well, guess what? That's a good thing, because now this is the golden era of cars. How many years do you think we're going to have 700 horsepower cars when we just went to a restaurant where they slapped a $5 tax on the one soda that I got? I mean, think about this.
Yeah.
You don't have much more time for this, so we need to buy every one of them we can get.
And the one to get is that 485 horsepower.
Yeah, absolutely.
Andre, do we have any comments or questions?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of comments and questions, and one question is about BMW.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
But maybe we can keep it on the side.
Yeah, we should, to get to that.
But there's a question about the wide-body Hellcat.
Right.
What are your thoughts on that?
You know, that's actually an interesting car. Essentially, the wide-body Hellcat is if you go to a dealership looking to purchase a Demon, they're only making 3,000 Demons. That's kind of that fallback car, because you've got the stance of the Demon, you've got that aggressive tire of a Demon. Well, they've got drag radials on the Demon,
I
but
would argue it's a prettier car than the Demon.
You really think so?
I don't like the front wheels of the Demon. Granted, they need to be that way, but I like the look of the wide-body Hellcat over the Demon.
But if you can't get your hands on that Demon, that wide-body Hellcat offers a lot more performance than a narrow body, because you've just got so much more tire.
I agree. For me, it would be a tough choice to go a wide body or go down to the 485. I'd probably end up doing the 485 because
Still, even over the wide body,
because I think it's a better overall driving vehicle.
Wow.
Granted, the audience knows I'm a Lotus guy, which means I like balance. I like the balance of the Challenger. Yeah, and granted, let's be very clear here, for the avoidance of doubt, Challengers, they ain't balanced. You're not going around tracks as well as, say, a GT350.
They're more drag machines, if we're being honest.
Yeah,
but that's fine.
And boulevard cruisers, but that's what I love.
Yeah.
Again, you don't drive these, you wear these cars. They are they feel right around you.
Right.
Especially when they do you remember when they changed the dashboard, what was it, 2-3 years ago?
Yes.
And it picked up the cues from like the Mike Brady era Challenger.
Right.
And it had that cool console now. All of a sudden, they fixed the one problem, which was the interior.
It's still not brilliant.
It's not, but is anything from Chrysler brilliant?
Well, I think the power numbers on those cars are pretty brilliant. I mean, you can make up a lot of shortcomings by a lot of horsepower.
I want to make an important point here. We have a question coming in, but I want to make a very important point about this. The last time we saw this kind of greatness from one segment of car was in the mid to late 90s, or really early to mid 90s, with the 3 Japanese trifecta sports cars, the RX-7, the Supra, and the Z. They went from what they used to be, 185 horsepower in the 80s for turbocharged models, and they went to 300, 340 horsepower, and the things, no one bought them. And then they stopped making them because no one bought them. This is why we want people to buy more of these, so they keep making them.
Yeah. Andre, we have a question?
Somebody is asking, is this the end? Are we near the end of the Hemi V8? Is it going to go away?
I sure as hell hope not.
Well, that's an interesting question because, Hemi is kind of synonymous with FCA, with Dodge, going back throughout history, even back to the 50s. But keep in mind, hemispherical engines have been around for a lot longer than that, right?
Well, it wasn't really Chrysler that was the first one
that
invented the Hemi. It was French engineers that invented it, and Jaguar was the one that really made it synonymous with performance. Because if you look at all of those inline sixes that took the C-types, the D-types, all to racing victories, those were all Hemis. So I don't think it's going anywhere. I think what's going to happen is you're going to see those types of engines become more efficient. Like you look at some of the Skyactiv stuff that Mazda is doing, they're doing this new spark plug-less engine.
Right.
It's based on compression rather than a spark plug, but still gasoline. Now, I'm not going to give you all the details because Dave Coleman from Mazda is better at explaining this, but partially those do have a domed top of their cylinder.
So, no, in my opinion, I don't think it's going anywhere. Maybe we'll see a smaller displacement, forced induction Hemi, but we've been talking about Challenger, how it's this big horsepower vehicle. We're going to go to another vehicle now that I think the lesser horsepower.
I think the technology is going to evolve. You'll see it in other places, but also I don't think Chrysler is going to let it go because it's a brand for them. It's not just a performance tool. It is a branding tool for Chrysler, and people keep on coming to buy those cars. So what they ultimately have to do is sell more fuel-efficient cars to sell more of these Hemis.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
We're going to go take a look at a lesser horsepower now, and I think that we're going to have a disagreement here.
We're going to have a major disagreement.
I am a big proponent that the Golf GTI is in fact more fun than the Volkswagen Golf R.
You've been dropped on your head by your father, haven't you?
Okay, well, prove me wrong here.
I'm going to prove you wrong, and here's why. Now, number one, I am going to say again for the avoidance of doubt, the GTI, fantastic car, one of my favorite cars, and one of the cars I would actually write a check for.
Okay.
Right? For 24 grand, you can't, there's nothing better than that. It's such a wonderful car. However, I did a little empirical evidence in an episode, I want to say about a year and a half ago, with an Autobahn edition Golf GTI, $36,000.
Right.
So only $3 grand cheaper than the Golf R.
Right.
Now, I asked people, which would you choose, the $36,000 Golf R, or the $39,000 Golf R, or $36,000 GTI? And it came back that because of all the diesel problems with Volkswagen, they have been dropping the prices on both of these cars. So the difference isn't 10 grand. The difference was more like $4,000 in real world numbers. And for $4,000, I'm getting me a Golf R with a stick.
But do you really think you could get a Golf R for that 25?
Not 25. It would be 25 to 29 is the difference as I saw.
Right.
There were some people that were buying Golf Rs, not performance pack, just a basic car with a stick, $29,000, $30,000. And again, you can't go wrong. One of the most beautifully balanced cars. I love the all-wheel drive system on that vehicle. It works incredibly well. I would argue I almost like it better than the S3.
So Volkswagen kind of in the mid-'80s really invented this whole segment of the hot hatch in a lot of ways.
Oh, they invented it in '76?
Well, yeah, with the original Golf, and then they brought in the GTI, and it was an enormous success. But the GTI, in my opinion, has just always been so pure. It's front-wheel drive. The new ones still have stuck with that cool plaid seat. You still have the golf ball shifter.
I do like the Burberry seats, man.
Yeah.
That's pretty killer.
Those are really, really, really cool seats.
But in the US, you can't get the premium pack with a sunroof with the Burberry seats. You have to get the most basic car. I think that was an unfortunate choice on their part.
Right. And if it was my money, I would skip the adaptive chassis control or the power seats. Just get the stripped out GTI. And
I would do a sunroof.
You would do a sunroof still?
Yeah, I always got. Everyone knows this about me. I'm a huge sunroof guy. I gotta have a sunroof.
Okay, so we disagree there, but here's another question. Golf R is a very high performance model with that all-wheel drive. Would you get the automatic or the manual?
Are you feeling all right today? You have too much, and we've been spending too much time in Boulder. This is there's something wrong with you.
Well, keep in mind that automatic is fast. With that launch control and all-wheel drive, that thing takes off.
I had no idea that you were getting a paycheck from F1 now. I thought you were still working at TFL Cars. See, here's the reality. Everybody says, I'm going to get me an F1 box, or I'm going to get me a PDK or a DSG, and it's just, and the answer is always, because it's faster. And here's the thing. Unless you are drawing a paycheck from any one of the F1 teams or NASCAR, whatever it is, you cannot use that extra speed. That extra, what, 50 milliseconds that it's faster? You can't use that. And for me, I'm always going to prize balance and control and drivability of the vehicle over its shifting faster. If I was going to race the car and bet you money, and I was going to get that Tatra that you guys foolishly sold, you know I was going to get this in here, I was going to get that Tatra out of you, then I would get the automatic, and I'd bet you I'd get the Tatra back.
You know, I've been fortunate to talk to some people in the racing world.
Yeah.
And a lot of those, you know, drivers will tell you if you're out on a track day, sometimes having the automatic's more fun than the manual because you can really focus on your lines, regardless of how fast you're going around that track. It's more fun in some cases to drive that DSG than the manual. However, in the GTI, I would go.
That's one automatic I like, that GTR.
The GTR?
Yeah, I like that. And I'm the only person who likes that clunky automatic, but I like it.
Well, in the GTI, I certainly would go for the manual.
Yeah, I disagree with you completely. And this is, I will admit, I am an old man.
I'd love to hear what you guys say.
Yeah, I think we should put in the comments below which you would choose, but not just which one you would choose, but why you would choose the automatic. And they can't use the answer that it's faster. They can't use that answer unless you get paid to be a race car driver in your GTI.
Okay, but you know,
Los Angeles traffic.
Oh, that's not a good answer. That is not a good answer. That means you have given up in life. It means you have hamsters or a gerbil or something like that, and kids.
If you care about straight line performance, though. I mean, if that's what your metric of a fun car is, and a lot of people today, that is their metric, having that bottom line number.
I'm going to admit something to you right now.
Yeah.
This is going to be a bit of a bombshell. I am being a little political here because I want more people to buy more manual transmissions. So there is more percentage of manual transmissions uptake. That means that you and I get more manual transmissions in more cars. Instead of you and I always having to beg, please, oh please, oh please, can I have a CTSV with a manual, which you can't get anymore.
Well.
Or many other examples.
Right.
So really, it's not purely altruistic. I want them to buy.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Andre, do we have any comments?
Somebody's saying also that Honda is doing really well. They're offering more manual transmissions, which is a good thing.
It's a good thing,
the Type R is only available in that manual.
Yeah, that's a mean-looking car, man.
That's a
mean-looking
That's a cool car.
Way over sticker right now, but wow, what a good-looking car.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's time to move on to number 2. And you're really going to have to explain this to me because there's a lot of letters in here. I don't understand.
Yeah. Okay, so we got to talk slow on this one. So the choice is between the basic model, which is the Porsche Panamera Sport Turismo Turbo. Okay? You follow me this far?
I got you this far.
Okay.
Do I need like a notepad here?
You definitely need like a notepad. That's a sketch and whatever. And this has a measly 550 horsepower. Okay?
Okay.
550 horsepower. Granted, the car weighs like 4,300 pounds, but 550 horsepower. As opposed to its performance variant, this one you really need to get the notebook out. Ready? Porsche Panamera Turbo S E Hybrid. Only comes as the fastback, meaning the saloon or the limousine, whatever they call it. That adds an additional 136 horsepower electric motor, not designed to be like a Prius. 680 total system horsepower, 627 pound-feet of torque. It's like stupid fast. I drove this thing around Vancouver Island Circuit, and it's a 5,200 pound car that does everything you ask it. Everything. It's like that GTR phenomenon, where it's a heavy car, it's got all this power, but it does things that a Lotus should do.
Wow.
However, the Sport Turismo is better looking.
Okay.
And to be very honest with you, 550 horsepower, the thing is still stupid fast at like 3.6 to 60.
Well, what if we go farther down the Panamera lineup? Because there's more options for Panamera.
There are.
Is that kind of the sweet spot? Because there are more basic models.
The sweet spot is the 2.9 V6.
Okay.
That one's a twin turbo, and they did something interesting in the technology on that. You know how the whole thing nowadays is to put the turbos in the V for packaging?
Right, yeah.
They went a step further, where they put the turbos in the V, and then the exhaust manifold comes out from the top of the engine over the back, around the transmission, and out the back. So it's a more efficient setup because everything's in the V as opposed to putting the exhaust manifolds out on the side.
Interesting.
And as a result, 440 horsepower from a 2.9 liter V6. Granted, you don't put your foot into it, you can do 30 mpg. I was putting my foot into it. I did like 3.
Right.
And it's a plenty fast car, and they make a hybrid version of that. And that one is 467 total system horsepower, but something like 516 pounds torque.
Wow.
Plenty of power, not 200 grand like the SE or the Turbo SE hybrid.
So is that 2.9 the one you'd get? Is that?
No, it would be the Sport Turismo Turbo S. Like,
Still.
when I become a prudent individual with a wife and a child, this is what my wife will have.
Okay.
Yes.
Sounds like they're borrowing some of that technology from the Porsche hypercar, the 918.
It's a direct relation. Like, if it doesn't have the front and rear electric motors, it was funny at the program they had a 918 there.
Oh, they did, yeah.
Yeah, and of course I pilfered it for my stand-ups and used it for my stand-ups, although they wouldn't let me drive it. The 918, the system there, there's front electric motors, and then there's the gas and electric really generator motor in the back that are totally separate. They don't connect with a drive shaft in that car. There is only one electric motor that sits between the gas engine and a totally new PDK that, get this, can handle up to 720 pounds of torque.
Wow.
It's crazy. I mean, it's crazy.
Big numbers.
Big numbers.
Big numbers. Do we have any comments, Andre?
Well, there's a couple questions that keep coming back. What is that red thing that's behind you, Tommy?
Ah, yes, the red thing.
I love the red thing.
This thing is named Lucky, and I'm not going to go into many details about this. You're really going to have to stay tuned to find out. This is an incredible story. We had a massive TFL adventure picking this up. There's a hint. It's ours, but I'm not going to go into details. You have to stay tuned.
So does that mean this one's mine?
Is this beast yours, the white RAV4?
The white RAV4 with a MotoMan plate must be mine, sadly. But I brought it for a reason.
You did?
Yes.
What reason?
Because I wanted to throw down a challenge.
What challenge?
Throw down the gauntlet. So I recently had a white SUV in the California Republic. I drove the Neue Volkswagen Atlas. I surprisingly liked it a lot. However, I thought to myself, can this thing tow? Because I looked at the numbers. It's 2,000 pounds with the 4-cylinder that isn't out yet.
Right.
5,000 pounds with the V6 that I drove.
Right.
Now, you know me. I mean, I am as practical as... I'm just not practical. Let's just put it that way. And I am not the guy to tow. So I'm coming out with a tech review on Tuesday, and in that episode, I threw down the challenge for you, Nathan, and Andre to take it on the Ike Gauntlet and tow with it. So my question to you is, will you accept the challenge?
You know, that's an interesting one, because we're at the Ike Gauntlet. We're many, many thousand feet.
Here comes the producer of the show.
I accept.
You accept?
Yes.
You saw it here, folks.
Okay.
One thing with the Atlas, I love it, right? I've tested a couple of them before. The thing is the wiring. They have European standards for towing.
Oh, for the towing,
lights.
yes, sir.
So I gotta get that, done, converted for United States, with a special plug, and then we'll do it.
Okay. Well, here's a question, Andre. That VR6 is naturally aspirated.
Yes.
That's going to be a challenge at 8,000 feet.
Well, but
that's true. Good point.
This is what the iGauntlet does. It challenges vehicles, right?
Yes.
So thank you.
Okay. I will bring you know what? I'll bring the bratwurst. Provided you live through it. Yeah, I saw that one where your father went in the pickup, and it was kind of hairy that one time.
Yeah. So that's an extreme towing test.
I love it up here, man. You guys have a great.
We are
place.
very lucky. If we can get our hands on the Atlas and we can figure out the wiring, we'll see what we can do, because that would be fun. Yeah.
Well, now I'm doing more SUV.
Oh, you are?
Yes. I can't tell you where I'm going because I'm going to a top secret location. I'll have to let you know.
Top secret location.
Yes. Top secret.
Well, speaking of SUVs, I think it's time to go to number one. And I think we may disagree here to an extent. This is kind of an overall theme within the Mercedes lineup. That's the 65 model AMGs versus the 63 model. So we're talking the V12 versus the V8 model.
Cylinder.
I think that in the G-Wagon, in the SL, for example, that the V8 is the better option.
You're completely wrong.
Why am I wrong?
Because you know what it is? Here's what it is. You haven't experienced the beauty of a 12-cylinder. See, in this world, I will be first to admit that 63 motor, which is not a 6.3, and it's moving down to a 4-liter if you've been following, which is an amazing engine. It is the better engine. There is no doubt. For just to be very, very clear here, the V8 is always the better option. It is usually the faster. I don't care if it's the G, if it's an S-Class coupe, an S sedan. It is always the faster car, the higher performing car, and it usually has the better transmission. However, this is like the thing with the manual transmission. How much longer are we going to be able to buy 12-cylinder cars? Only Mercedes, only BMW, only Rolls-Royce through BMW continue to support this format. Now, do I think it's going to go away in a Rolls-Royce? No, but I could see it going away in a Mercedes-Benz, again, especially with cities like Boulder and Los Angeles doing road diets and stupid things like that. At some point, these are going to go the way to the dodo bird. So I feel like if you have the opportunity to own a V12 car at least once in your life, you should take the opportunity, even if the 8-cylinder is 0.5 of a second faster.
Well, keep in mind, in the SL, though, they're both right around 4 seconds to 60, according to Mercedes. The SL63 starts at 151. The SL65 starts at 220 grand. And it's not like that 63 sounds bad or is a poor engine. That's 70 grand. You could go out and buy any BMW 850 with a V12 that you want, or
But here's the rub on the whole deal.
Okay.
The person who buys a 63 is the person that may look at, they're in to buy an S-Class, and like, oh, what's that one? That one looks cooler. I'll take that one because they spend a little bit more on their lease payments, or they write a check a little bit higher because it's just that much more than the standard car. The person who goes in and gets the 12-cylinder is the guy that says, I need a red one this year for the Hamptons. Or, I had the 12-cylinder convertible, I'm going to do the coupe now. And there's no price sensitivity, so on the back end of it, they just sell the car, they have terrible resale, so people like you and I come and buy them, and they're like only 10%, maybe 15% more than the 8-cylinder.
So what you're telling me is wait for someone to take that big hit.
Huge hit.
Go out and buy the 65 if you have a choice in the used market.
And one thing that people don't tell you, your what is it, 150 to 220?
Yeah, 150 to 220.
It's not just the engine. The S, like I can give you one very clear example. I had a $252,000 S-Class coupe, the S65. Stunning car. It only comes one way. Where if you piecemeal those options on the 63, it's not a $70,000 difference. It's much closer to like 20.
Is it?
Yep. So you get a more bespoke vehicle.
If you go for the 65.
Yeah, and there are things that are not on offer.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same story in terms of engines in like the G-Wagon.
Yeah.
And you've got the 550, the 63, and the 65. And in terms of capability,
the G-Wagon's a different story, though. They're all bad. They don't drive well.
Oh, no.
And that's just saying I am the biggest, baddest truck.
You have 3 locking differentials.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's been around since what, like the late 70s. I mean, this is a vehicle with a lot of heritage. Granted, the late 70s, they didn't have 600 horsepower.
Well, it wasn't intended to have that.
Of course, it was a military vehicle,
and as a
right?
result, the best way to describe their driving dynamics is agricultural. But the thing is, the fact that you can get it today with a 12-cylinder, I love that concept. And again, for me, this is not a cerebral choice. This isn't about which one's faster or better or more efficient. The 63 is always going to be more efficient. And I would argue, in some cases, I would suggest some people get the 43 now. Like in the E-Class, most people should get the 43 because it is a more balanced vehicle and you don't need to spend the ridiculous money to get the 63. Me, the ridiculous person I am, again, should I ever get to the point of being a prudent human being with children, my children are going to be in a 63 wagon.
Okay, so here's a question for you. You know, this has been going around online a bunch, and I'm sure you guys know about it. Is the 43 a true AMG in your opinion?
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
Because it's not bonkers. To me, AMG is bonkers. When AMG rolled out in 1971, they brought out a car called the Warthog. It's at Pebble Beach. As we speak, right now, if you're at Pebble Beach, go up and it's at the Mercedes display. It is a red Mercedes-Benz 300 SEL 6.3. They bumped it out to a 6.8. It is stupid fast. It is super loud. It actually handles really well. And it was just bonkers. And I feel that set the mission statement for AMG, and to me, a real AMG is it's got to be bonkers. I feel what Mercedes did is they looked across the street and they saw that BMW was doing an M Sport, not an M, and Audi was doing an S line, not an RS, and they said, well, hold on a minute, we got to do this too. And so I think they foolishly did the AMG name. They probably should have came out with like AMG line.
Well, because they call it a true AMG.
It's not a true AMG. It's not. Yeah. Again, this is. I just don't think it's bonkers enough, and this is my own personal opinion. Are they bad? No. Again, I would argue most people would prefer to get the E43 and should save their money. Like, buy an E43 and take the money you save and go buy a used Miata and track it.
Right. Do we have any comments, Andre?
There are a lot of different topics coming up.
Okay.
And we're nearing our 30-minute mark.
Yeah.
Do we have a bonus?
We do have a bonus, yeah.
We do have a bonus.
Let's go there first.
We do have a bonus.
Well, speaking of, the performance models, let's talk about the M3 and even M4. M3 offers a competition package over standard M3.
It does.
I think the M3 is the one to go for. And the M4, there was that GTS model, which was just bonkers.
Yeah.
And the M4, I think, was a much better value and probably a better car in some ways.
For the most part, I agree with you.
Okay.
But I am going to disagree and somewhat throw a curveball here. I would buy neither.
But we're talking about M cars.
I know. What I would buy? M2. I wouldn't even do the 3/4 series. To me, the M2 is the most, currently, the most beautifully distilled version of what an M car should be. It is beautifully balanced. Again, it's a theme. Everything I've liked here, it's all about the balance. And that's just me. I'm a Lotus guy. I'm broken. I totally get it. This is the most practical I get. I got a Toyota behind me. I'm practical. And I had lunch in Boulder where they slapped me with a tax for soda. I still can't believe it. Anyway, have you driven one, the M2?
We did have the M2 in the office with the manual, and it was just, it was great.
Oh,
it's fantastic.
And it's not a money thing. It really isn't, because I know the M34 it's 70, 80 grand. To me, it's just so beautifully balanced, and I would argue that's the one to go with, not any of the others.
So M5, M6, go for the M2.
No, between an M3, M4 versus an M2. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine who's he's married, and he wants to buy a sedan.
Okay.
And he's like, well, what do I buy? Because I need to have a manual transmission, but I still got to put the rugrats in the back. And I'm thinking, how about an older M5? Can't go wrong with that.
Yeah,
you really can't.
Sure. No. Andre.
There's one question related to BMW. E39 Generation 5 Series.
Wonderful.
540i or the M5? Your thoughts?
Oh, yeah, easy answer, 540.
Really?
Absolutely 540. What was it, 282 horsepower at that point?
Something like that.
Yeah, 282 horsepower. It was, again, it's a balance thing, but I would argue that it was a prettier car without all the crap from...
without like the lower front splitters.
Yeah, I felt that was a bridge too far in design for me, where especially like the first version of the E39 540 had those stunning two-piece wheels on them, and you can get it with a 6-speed. A lot of them are going to be bastardized. Actually, can I give you a fun fact here? One of the engineers you and I both know and love, Dave Coleman, he has an E39.
Oh, does he really?
A 540 with a stick. So if a guy tracks Miatas and he engineers Miatas, if he has one, something tells me that was the right choice.
I think you could be right there. you could be right there.
It's an amazing car.
Well, guys, thank you so much for watching. MotoMan, it was a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you for having me. I got to take this thing out now. So I'm going to give you this weekend. I'm going to take
You want to take it out? Well, it doesn't run, and it's still got mouse poop in it. So, are you sure about that?
We'll get Andre to fix it. Russians can fix anything.
They can fix anything. Andre is a master mechanic here.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thank you so much once again. See you guys next time. Be sure to subscribe to MotoMan TV.
MotoManTV on all one word, MotoManTV all one word, and also on all the socials. And can I say one thing?
Yeah.
We're very mad at Nathan because he's at Pebble Beach and we're not.
We're here in this hot little studio, smelling some engine degreaser.
I love the studio, man.
Thank you, guys.